If you want to torture a modern human, don't put them in a cage. Give them infinite doors. Think about the last time you opened a streaming app on a Friday evening. You sat down exhausted from a long week, looking for just 1 hour of simple entertainment. But instead of watching something, you scrolled. You read summaries, you watched trailers, you checked review scores, you scrolled past hundreds, perhaps thousands of titles. And then 2 hours later, you closed the app, having watched absolutely nothing, and went to bed feeling vaguely angry, anxious, and deeply empty. This is not a personal failure. You're not just being indecisive. What you experienced in those 2 hours was a calculated systemic assault on your evolutionary biology. We live in the era of peak abundance. We have been sold a foundational lie by modern culture, the idea that more choice equals more freedom, and more freedom equals more happiness. It sounds logical. It sounds beautiful. But human psychology proves the exact opposite. When options explode, human satisfaction doesn't grow, it plummets. It is a psychological trap known as the paradox of choice, and it is quietly driving us insane. To understand why this happens, we have to look backward. We have to look at the wiring inside your skull. Your brain did not evolve for this world. For 99% of human history, human choices were binary, brutal, and immediate. Our ancestors didn't wake up and choose between 50 different career paths, millions of digital songs, or thousands of potential romantic partners localized onto a glass screen. Their choices were simple: eat the berry or starve, run from the predator or die, stay with the tribe or perish in the wilderness. Because survival was a razor-thin margin, the human brain evolved to become the ultimate efficiency engine. It hates wasting energy. It loves routines, instincts, and automatic behaviors because processing information requires actual physical fuel. Fast forward to the modern day. Every single morning, from the moment you wake up, you're bombarded with a relentless barrage of trivial micro-decisions. Do you look at your notifications or leave them? Which brand of coffee do you buy? Which email do you answer first? Which outfit do you wear? What path do you take to work? To you, these feel like normal everyday tasks. To your brain, this is a crisis. Every single time you compare two items, analyze prices, read user reviews, or swipe through a dating app, your prefrontal cortex burns glucose and oxygen. It doesn't matter if the choice is monumentally important, like picking a college or picking a brand of toothpaste. The biological mechanism is exactly the same. Your brain is burning fuel to weigh the variables. This triggers a heavy biological process called decision fatigue. Think of your willpower and your decision-making capacity like a smartphone battery. At 7 a.m., you are at 100%. But with every micro-choice you make throughout the day, that battery drains. 5% gone on the commute, 10% gone picking lunch, 20% gone answering repetitive emails. By the time you get home and sit on the couch, your brain's executive function is running on 3% battery. When you hit decision fatigue, your brain actively shuts down its analytical capabilities to save itself from burning out. It can no longer process complex data. This is why you freeze up in front of the TV, unable to make a simple choice. You aren't being lazy. You're quite literally, neurologically exhausted. Your brain is out of gas, but the torture doesn't stop at fatigue. The real psychological horror begins after you actually manage to force yourself to make a choice. In the early 2000s, psychologist Barry Schwartz conducted a series of groundbreaking studies on how humans handle options. He discovered that humanity can generally be divided into two distinct personality types when it comes to decision-making: satisficers and maximizers. Satisficers are simple. They have a baseline criteria for what they need. If they want a pair of jeans, they look for a pair that fits comfortably and is within their budget. The moment they find a pair that meets those criteria, they buy them, go home, and never think about jeans again. They look for what is good enough and move on. Then there are the maximizers. If you are a maximizer, you are psychologically compelled to find the absolute best possible option. You cannot just buy the jeans that fit. You must research every brand, you must read the reviews, you must compare the prices across 5 different websites to ensure you aren't missing a better deal. You need to optimize your choice to absolute perfection. On paper, you would think maximizers win. They do the research, so they must get the best results, right? Wrong. Psychology shows that if you are a maximizer, you lose even when you win. Because the moment you finally make a choice, a cruel psychological mechanism kicks in. Opportunity cost. When you choose one thing out of two options, it is easy. But when you choose one thing out of 10,000 options, your brain immediately starts grieving the thousands of alternatives you rejected. The moment you click play on a movie, your mind is secretly haunted by the phantom versions of the night you could have had if you had chosen something else. You sit there watching the screen, but you aren't enjoying it. You are wondering if there was something 2% better 3 rows down. This leads to a permanent state of low-level regret. Maximizers consistently achieve objectively better outcomes because they do the research, but they consistently experience subjectively worse happiness. They are plagued by the anxiety of perfection. And this brings us to the ultimate consequence of the modern world: choice paralysis. When the sheer volume of options becomes too overwhelming and the fear of making a suboptimal choice becomes too terrifying, the human mind does the only thing it can do to protect itself. It halts, it freezes. We see this everywhere. We see it in people who spend years in terrible jobs because the sheer volume of alternative career paths is too overwhelming to analyze. We see it in relationships where the infinite digital meat market of dating apps makes people disposable because everyone assumes a better option is just one more swipe away. We see it in our hobbies, our diets, and our daily schedules. We are paralyzed by the ghost of the perfect life we think we are supposed to be living. We are so terrified of making the wrong choice that we choose nothing at all. We sit in the center of the room, surrounded by infinite doors, watching our time bleed away, while we struggle to decide which one to walk through. We have built a civilization that offers us everything, and in doing so, we have created a prison where we can enjoy nothing. The pressure to optimize every single second of our existence has broken the very mechanism we use to find peace. So how do we escape a trap that is built into the very fabric of modern society? How do you heal a brain that is being ground down by infinite choice? The answer is brutal, uncomfortable, and entirely necessary. You have to stop optimizing. You have to stop looking for the best in a world with infinite possibilities. The only way to protect your sanity is to deliberately, violently limit your view. You have to learn the art of being satisfied with good enough. You have to close the doors yourself, lock them from the inside, and accept that the phantom lives you didn't choose never existed anyway. Because true freedom isn't the ability to choose everything. True freedom is the peace that comes from choosing one thing and having the courage to let the rest go.